Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Is my voice is clear?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'd like to say welcome to MONEV Studio. In this episode in MONEV Book Club, the episode 10, the next gen of monitoring and evaluation. Please let me read the rules and regulations. The first one, make sure you have stable internet connections and keep your position in a quiet and comfortable room. And after entering the Zoom room, please make sure to change the name to the format as follows, name, and then your institutions or organizations by clicking on the rename option on your Zoom profile. Make sure to turn off your microphone during the speaker session for mutual comfort. If there are any questions during the session, you can type in the chat box or using the raise hand feature to be given the opportunity to speak after being appointed by the moderator. And for the notes, this session will be fully delivered in English. Therefore, I would like to say good afternoon from Indonesia. Thank you, Mr. Hasan and Mr. Gandhi, for joining us today. So I would like to say thank you for everyone who have joined the MONEV Book Club in this special anniversary of MONEV Studio. In this special edition, the MONEV Studio Book Club is proudly presenting a discussions that aims to enhance the knowledge and monitoring and evaluation sectors, with focus on the incorporations of AI and other technology systems in conducting research and monitoring and evaluations, or M&E. Thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and let us take this moment for all and everyone and never stop learning for knowledge. So let me introduce to you about MONEV Studio. MONEV Studio and MONEV Book Club. MONEV Book Club is part of MONEV 4.0 ecosystem to facilitate better ME literacy and practices by regular learning and development of M&E concepts, techniques for reflections on members, ME projects, programs, organizations. It also aims to facilitate a consistent series of M&E book discussions to enable M&E learners or professionals to apply new knowledge directly to improve their M&A skills, building M&E teamwork, and creating opportunities, as well as build and deepening M&E relationship through shared learning. Let me tell you about MONEV Studio and MONEV 4.0 ecosystem. MONEV Studio Global is an organization specializing in monitoring and evaluations, or MONEV, which is an independent and interdisciplinary facility to connect governments, non-governmental organizations, and civil society organizations in an integrated MONEV ecosystem. We aim for an inclusive learning features, professionalism, and for practitioners, digitalization process, also collaborative work. The public literacy and professionalizations of inclusive monitoring and evaluation can be found through our new MONEV 4.0 application, which can be downloaded through Android or iOS. The MONEV 4.0 applications have other products such as the MONEV Podcast, MONEV News Indonesia, MONEVpedia, Buku Saku MONEV, MONEV Learning, MONEV Safari, MONEV Talk, MONEV Chat, MONEV Institute, Halo MONEV, and other applications and products as well. And now, let us meet our speaker here. We have Mr. Valentine J. Gandhi. Hello, Mr. Valentine.
Hello.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So Mr. Valentine is a senior evaluations, innovation, and tech for good specialist with over 22 years of interdisciplinary experience in research, monitoring, evaluations, and learning and information technology at both field and policy level. His work focuses on building a culture of evaluations and harnessing technology for MEL and harnessing MEL for technology. He has worked in over 40 countries in Asia, Africa, Europe, and North America with various international organizations, governments, and development partners. He is also the co-host of the European Evaluation Society's Eval Edge podcast and founder of the think tank, The Development Cafe. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Valentine.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And next we have Mr. Hasan bin Zahid. Hello, Mr. Hasan.
Hi.
Okay, so
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Hasan has been possessing over 20 years of experience in designing and implementing research, monitoring, evaluations, impact, and learning plans and activities for large-scale programs or projects globally. Having in-depth familiarity on the monitoring and evaluation protocols of UNDP, USAID, FCDO, ECHO, and multiple donors and INGOs. Having strong expertise in leading and undertaking research, evaluations, and impact studies as per OECD's DAC criteria. And he has worked on the quasi-experimental designs and mixed method approaches in qualitative and quantitative, as well as crafted impact summaries and most significant stories. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us jump right into our first session, which is a presentation by our speaker, Mr. Valentine J. Gandhi. The book will be about the artificial intelligence and evaluations, emerging technologies, and their implications for evaluations. We will be discussing the chapter 2, which is the emerging technology and evaluations in international. So for Mr. Gandhi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity for MONEV Studio to introduce our book. So the concept of this book came at least 2 or 3 years ago when a few of our colleagues, Dr. Gary Bruce, Steffen, who's the Director General, who is one of the chief editors, and we all came together along with other colleagues who work in the evaluation as well as technology space on how AI is fast taking over whatever we do. It got us thinking about how technology has evolved in the development space. I mean, in the 90s, for those of you who started using technologies, we used to have this thing called ICT4D, where technologies that were pre-existing were starting to be used in international development. Like there's a computer, you use it for public sector and so on. And then over time, it evolved to digital development, where specific technologies were developed for use in international development, not just using what's already existing, but creating things. And moving on now, at least if you look at some of the digital development strategies of many countries in Europe or North America, even in the Asia and Southeast Asia and so on, we are living in a digital world. It's no longer, we are part of data points. All of us, we all carry mobile phones. It's no longer a world that is without any digital tools. In one way or the other, we interact on a daily basis with digital tools. And so the influx of AI was a natural evolution because we are all surrounded by data, and at some point we are going to get into how artificial intelligence or how fast can we use this data for development. And so that kind of the crux of this book, where when these next slide, please. When these emerging technologies are coming in front of us, especially with regards to AI and other tools, in this book, we wanted to explore what does it mean for evaluation practice and what does it mean for technology as well. And yes, we are all getting pulled into, a few years ago, we were all pulled into blockchain and decentralized databases and so on. And then there was big data, and now we are AI. And AI, as you see, is fast leaping with every day we see changes. So we wanted, as development practitioners, to sit together, take a step back and say, how do we as evaluators approach this? And as you can see, it has multiple chapters and looking at scope of how evaluations are conducted, what aspects of evaluation can use. Next slide, please. Can use AI tools or other emerging technologies. And in general, we also give specific overview on specific technologies that are coming up. While the book is on artificial intelligence and evaluation, there's also AI adjacent technologies that are talked about, like machine learning, NLPs, drones, and other forms of data that is used by AI to generate evidence and so on. And we also, in this book, give examples of how they are applied. So several authors, if you see, there are 14 chapters in this book. So it's available for free download. If you want it as a soft copy, if you want it as a hard copy, then I think there's a fee. But I think because many organizations contributed to this book being available widely, you can download it in that link. Our chapter with Dr. Kerry and also with Dr. Yoris, my chapter focused specifically on promises and perils. I mean, it's in our nature to get looking at the shiny thing and run behind them saying, wow, AI, let's adapt it quickly, and every other agency will start adopting it. But we also wanted to present a case that as evaluators, we are in a great opportunity to be guardrails to ensure that AI is used in a way that it is actually beneficial for humanity. And it is exactly what it is. It's just a tool. It's neither artificial nor it is intelligent. It's simply a tool. A tool is something, how it's used is efficient, and where it's used is important, and who it is used for is important. And I think that's where, as evaluators, we come in and play an important role in not just using AI, but also guiding the way AI is developed and utilized by companies, by governments, and by organizations. And that's why we call it promises and perils. While we recognize what are the capabilities of AI in ensuring the faster data availability of synthesis of large scale data sets, but also the dangers that might lurk if you ignore the context. And that's what it is. You can go to the next slide. I mean, given the time, I want to give Mr. Hasan time to. I mean, our chapter specifically talks about emerging technologies. So we compare and contrast multiple technologies. All of them can be synthesized within AI because AI is using everything. It's kind of like a carpet that covers all. So we are going to we explore in our chapter practical applications, and of course, as I mentioned, what are some of the concerns as evaluators we need to manage. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to go through this table one by one. It's there for you to read. You're all professionals. But this is kind of what the chapter focuses on. What are the promises? Rapid data collection, very fast. But what are some of the pitfalls? Are we losing privacy of data because there's mass data being collected? And same thing in virtual reality. We are able to do formative evaluation, support program designs, but how expensive it is. And can really grassroots level agencies adapt them? Next slide, please. So I've tried to synthesize, again, another slide, please. I've tried to synthesize in the coming slides on how in this chapter, next slide, please. We are able to present each case study like mobile data collection. The promises that AI brings is speed, volume, variability, and usability, but then it can also make sure there's a digital divide happening. What I mean by that is technology has this innate ability to amplify existing problems. What I mean by that is if a technology is introduced in a field without the contextual understanding or social and structural injustices that exist in a field, and you simply issue or simply roll out a technology like a silver bullet, you risk or you run the risk of amplifying existing problems. For one example was at the one point of time, people were pushing for blockchain, which is a decentralized database. It is still being used by many people, but let's say it is being pushed in a society where there is a big difference in, let's say, caste or tribal issues, where land ownership is disputed. And if you make that into a permanent ledger, you end up making discrimination permanent. So there's no chance of removing it because you make something amplified. So that's why I'm saying evaluators are in an excellent position to be able to guide the way technologies are introduced. And so we need to be able to developing frameworks and methodologies before AI is introduced to show that, or any emerging technologies used to show that what is the concept, what is the context in that field, what are the existing inequities, what are the structural oppressive systems that exist, or also even what are the opportunities, how do you scale up these technologies. So I think as researchers and as evaluators, we are in that nice bridge where we can bring together to minimize the problems that exist in AI and also to increase the promises that exist. So that is what the chapter 2 is really all about. But if you go and read on your own, you will see I've put in this slide, which I'm sure MONEV Studio will share with you, in terms of what are the different technologies that are there, what are the promises, what are the perils, and so on. So I've captured in this slide, but it's also available for free download, you can see. But the crux of the message of this chapter is AI in itself is a tool. it can be used effectively or it can be used destructively depending on who the user is, what knowledge they possess, what power they possess. And as evaluators, we stand in the bridge to be able to ensure that we are able to guide the people who are using the technology to use it effectively so it protects human beings, it benefits everyone, includes everybody, and does not create further divide between people who have things and people who do not have opportunities and so on. So that is the crux of chapter 2. But I want to open the floor for, I'm assuming this is a book chapter review, so I don't want to give a big lecture on what this is. But I do want to note that identifying risks and ethical considerations, I think you can scroll down up to the conclusion session. I think it's slide 21 in your. All these are just different, what do you call, different tools and the promises and perils. And I'm not going to give you a lecture on that. You can easily read that. But I do want to say that risks and ethical considerations are important. And that is what we are highlighting in the chapter. And the need for the human oversight to interpret it, especially from an evaluator's lens, is essential in minimizing these perils and increasing the promises. If you are interested in further learning about this, we are that some of the team members who developed this book. There's also a part 2 of the book coming, volume 2, because it was quite well received, I understand. And so there's also e-learning that Development Cafe is working with, I think, Google Labs and also with some of the partners. I think it's in the last slide. So it's not yet publicly available, but for MONEV Studio, I think you can start registering. And I think there's a heavily discounted, what do you call, package for those of you who are in the global south, especially. So I want to end this by saying emerging technologies, including AI, should be used thoughtfully, ethically, with a human insight. And just because we can collect and process data doesn't mean we understand data, or somebody who's an expert who claims to be an expert AI is understanding better. We all need to solve this issue together and ensure that AI is used ethically and effectively. And that is where I think evaluators come in and play an important role. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the e-learning course that I mentioned, which talks about all of this. How do you apply AI and tools? I'm sure MONEV Studio will share it with you. Feel free to ask any questions you have. With that, I'll hand over back to Innayathul. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Valentine, for your introductions and sharing your knowledge and writings with us. Next, we will just moving on to Mr. Hasan to deliver his review. And to Mr. Hasan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Naya, Mr. Gandhi. Before starting this, I would like to say this is the era of data. So we have to make data-driven decisions, and technology contributes a lot, because the more the data is faster, the more the data is accurate and scalable, and we would be having a more strategic decisions. And this is to be achieved only through technology. And this is what is this all about? This is in the book, and specifically within this chapter about the different use of different technological tools and the benefits and pros and cons and all these things. Now comes to the presentation. Could you please move to next slide, Anaya? Yeah. As it is stated, this chapter is highly relevant as it addresses the evolving role of technology in international development evaluation. And it is a sector with increasing driven by data and innovation. Promising and pitfall application of different technology tools in evaluation are discussed in this chapter with adequate examples and details. And there are multiple technological tools like mobile data collection, social media data, satellite drones, Internet of Things, chatbots, and virtual agents, virtual reality, NLP, and generative AI and machine learning. Similarly, the advantages and disadvantages about the processing big data are also discussed and examined in this chapter specifically. Could you please next slide? Yeah. If we talk about different data tools, technology tools, there is a list of different tools within this chapter, and it has given up light about those tools and the strengths and promises and their weaknesses and challenges. So we will be discussing, reviewing each and every about discussion about each and every tool. one by one. First is the mobile data collection and GPS location data. It is a very important tool, and very much of the organizations, I believe, around the globe are utilizing this data. I have seen in Africa, I have seen in Asia myself. Practically, I have been involved, and I have seen these things in Europe. So the strengths are the enhancing data standardization and quality via inbuilt platform features like skip patterns and validations. You definitely have in the questionnaires on mobile data with skip patterns, validations. You have a much quality data, much standardized data. Then there's a geolocation feature, and you have the geographic specific data. Similarly, it's a real-time data. Again, you can have data traceability and accuracy because of the biometrics and barcodes of the respondents. Similarly, it eases data collection and cohort study by linking to historical respondent data. The challenges or weaknesses could be the human errors. There could be the human errors in data collection. It has a cost. Then there are sampling limitations. You cannot have this data from everywhere. There is a low response rate, especially in ethnic communities, in low developed countries. Then there are privacy concerns raising ethically and ethical and security issues. Then there is a loss of context because of missing qualitative inputs. You cannot have the qualitative inputs mostly, and it's all about the quantitative data. Next slide, please. Now comes to social media data and online data. The strengths of the promising features are its scalability and reach, tapping into broad societal trend and voices, fresh and in-depth data. Definitely, when you're getting the data from social media like Facebook and other channels, you have the fresh data, in-depth data, and you get to have the sentiment analysis. Similarly, you can have the case studies from around the globe, like it is the case studies mentioned in this chapter about the Norway's peace process evaluation shows how pivotal data provides crucial context and stakeholder mapping. So this is the case study mentioned already in the book. Discussing when we are talking about the pitfalls, the technical barriers, the data cleaning barriers, APUs, then accessibility and representation issues, no demographic representation or segregation. We can have these ethical issues. There could be privacy, consent, and data protection issues, data integrity and quality issues. There could be fake accounts, there could be biased accounts. So these are the pitfalls when we are talking about the social media data and online data. Next slide. Satellite drones and Internet of Things. Yes, satellite of drones, you can have data accuracy, you can have price size, real-time data for your informed decision making, especially sectors related to health, sector related to environment, sector related to agriculture, as mentioned in this chapter. Again, you can have gains, efficiency, and there is a reduction of manual efforts and cost, and it improves accountability, transparency, and building trust because you are having all visual data, and it's a scalable data. You can have across various regions, across various sectors and continents. You can have the data. It's a huge scalable data. It's a higher cost. It is the weakness. It requires specialized technical expertise, and mostly when we come to the next technological tool, definitely there's always a technical expertise required, specialized expertise, trainings required. Risk of accumulating excessive data without clear relevance. You have excessive data, and it is not necessary that all the data or all the data of all information would be relevant to you as per your needs. Then data quality issues because of the issues because of the environmental factor or the technological malfunctions. Like if you want to have some agricultural data and it is having some environmental constraints, you can have the data quality issues, privacy and security concerns, again, misuse of unauthorized access to sensitive information, ethical considerations, again, like before, privacy issue, consent issues, potential misuse of that data. Next slide, please. Now come to chatbots and virtual agents. It has a strong accessibility, avoiding any technical jargons. Low bandwidth operation means if you're having a low connectivity area, you can have this data. It's a 24/7 availability. It is consistent in data collection. It is with minimum human errors and biases. It's a scalable data again. The example is, as mentioned in the chapter, is the data from Civic Tech in Madagascar. They are using a Facebook chatbot to monitor public infrastructure with community feedback, showing the potential for participating monitoring and low cost our site. Sorry. Now comes to the challenges. It has a limited flexibility. It is having a language and cultural barriers. There is a gap, empathy gap, a human touch, a human relationship. It's a gap. You cannot have human involvement and emotional and all these things. And there's a privacy concerns again, like the other these electronic data tools having the privacy issues, the consent issues. Next slide, please. Virtual reality, again, timely and relevant topics. You can have the real world example from reputable organization like UNICEF, ICRC, and World Bank. Increasing objectivity and standardization in data collection, reducing observer biases and logistic cost. Example is UNICEF is investing in the companies which are using VR-based reading assessment. So this is a good example mentioned in this chapter. Again, high initial cost for equipment and software, then require technical expertise, then ethical concerns related to respondent safety and data privacy. Again, limited generalization of findings from these environments, stimulated environments. This is the problem here with the virtual reality data. Next slide. Natural language processing and generative AI, it helps in drafting reports, law frames, evaluation plans. It helps in summarizing large data sets. It could be audio data, it could be video data, it could be text data. It supports in language processing tasks like transcription, translation. Then you can have sentiment analysis and content modeling. System data analysis through code generation, and the challenges are its persuasiveness, chances of AI being convincingly wrong, which can mislead users. So it's because you cannot assure. Similarly, the citation fabrications are real world example of ChatGPT creating a fake citation. Similarly, lack of empathy and intuition. You cannot fully understand complex social and cultural dynamics. This is the problem with these kind of tools where you can have a scalable data. Please go to the next slide. Yeah, machine learning for evaluation. Efficient, scalable, massive text data sets. You can have this process this massive text data sets like faster and cost effectively if compared with a manual method. Similarly, systematic analysis. You can have coding and pattern consistencies for the large sets of data. The practical applications, the World Bank and USA example, how they are using machine learning for real world evaluations. Similarly, the pitfalls are the complex data processing like data cleaning issues, the translation and vectorization are complex and time consuming. Technical barriers, again, the capacity issues of the people who want to use this data, like coding issues, the data science fundamentals, interpretation challenges, and there are risk of biases. Next slide, please. Now come to the data processing. Certainly you are using this data and technological tools for collecting the data, then we have to process the data. And by using these technological tools, you can have the real-time insights, vast data sets, and you can enhance the responsiveness. Similarly, you can use data for other inquiries and for other purposes. Similarly, you are integrating diverse data sources human alone couldn't process, and this is very practical. Again, the pitfalls are you can have reinforced inequality because of the digital division of data. Like the people or evaluators are sitting in the global north, they have more access to this digital data compared to the local stakeholders. Risk of marginalizing vulnerable population if data isn't representative. Blind reliance on the algorithmic outputs, especially in the cases of AI of such kind of tools, may compromise data integrity and ethical evaluation practices. Significant skill gap between evaluators and data scientists hinders effective collaboration. Next slide, please. Now comes to the reflections. If we talk about the conclusion of reflections, this chapter is a comprehensive, insightful examination of impact of emerging technology in data collection and analysis within the context of whole globe and global development. Encourages critical engagement with tech rather than blind adaptation. So this is very important that you cannot trust on these technological tools blindly. You have to have critical engagement and you have some ethical consideration, all these things. Then this chapter emphasizes the importance of deliberate technology utilization by clearly articulating evaluation questions and ensuring they correspond with suitable platforms and methodologies. Again, it urges evaluators to focus on analyzing digital and analytical comparisons to stay abreast of technological progress. This chapter also offers effective real-world application and examples. So these are the just reflections. I will request now you people, if you are having any question, you are welcome. So we could discuss.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hasan, for your review about the book. And next, let us move on into the discussion sessions. I see that I would like first to invite all participants either to raise your hand using the raise hand features, or you can chat or type your questions through the chat box. Okay, does anyone have any questions to either Mr. Valentine or Mr. Hasan? Feel free to raise your hand or type it on the chat box. Well, I think some of the participants perhaps still typing or forming their questions. However, to our speaker and reviewer, I do have several questions which we already collected through the G form. There are 3 questions, and the first question is it inevitable that monitoring and evaluation activities can be completely replaced by AI? For Mr. Hasan or Mr. Gandhi, you'd like to give your remarks on this question?
Yes, I believe, yeah. May I take the floor, Mr. Gandhi?
Sure, go for it, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yes, I believe and the chapter itself says that there are issues of the consent, there is the issue of the privacy, this is the issue of ethical considerations. So if you want to have the MND, ethical consideration is a human touch. It cannot be a machine or a AI learning, and you cannot have this. So this is most significant. If you want to have the MND, there must always be a need of human touch. 10% of 20%. It depends. It depends on the need of the data. It depends on the what is the type of technological tool or applications you want to apply, what is the kind of data you want to apply, what is the scope of the data. But besides, there is always need a human touch. Over to you, Mr. Gandhi.
Well, I think you answered it very well. I mean, that's what the book is talking about, right? It's about how do you minimize ethical and privacy issues. Like I said, technology usually amplifies existing problems. There's bias in all data collection, including non-AI data collection. But it's really about how do we implement data governance, privacy protections, informed consent, transparency, bias, fairness, and all these things. And also algorithmic transparency and explainability is what is being pushed for. And that's what the book is also arguing. It's really about having ethical advisory boards led by evaluators and ensuring that when you issue all evaluations, for examples, are contracts. And so when a donor issues a contract, they ensure that any vendor who is using AI or is asked to use AI is able to provide data protection same way they would protect in a non-AI or regular traditional data collection methods.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hasan and Mr. Gandhi. For any participants who'd like to give your perhaps a comment from our speakers and reviewer. It's a very interesting topic that AI is being used everywhere, so I think it should be very interesting for us to discuss. Well, if perhaps some of participants a bit shy, I would like to actually deliver a comment from our participant. He's joining us through the YouTube live streaming from Mr. Kelly Cariono. He said, "Thank you, Mr. Valentine and Mr. Hasan. This is a hot topic that everyone talking about." And he said that recently, I am amazed at how AI could generate a set of data which too good to be true, almost mimicking the real data that we capture on film. That's a very interesting remarks from Mr. Kelly. Okay, moving. Okay, so moving on, we have a second question. I think this is a good one for us. What are common challenges of AI in evaluations? Which one is priority to address? I think Mr. Hasan would like to address this one first.
Yeah, as mentioned, it is already in the slides. First of all, that it's you cannot have the again. I beg your pardon. I'm a action researcher, evaluator. So you can, if you are not having a human touch, you are not having a human empathy. So it is a problem with the AI that when you are putting some question or you want to have some data, you have limitations, human limitations. But if there is some human involved, if compared with the AI data, if some human is involved and it is collecting, he or she is collecting data, it could be having a human elements, human factors, human empathetic data, the conclusions, the results, and these matters a lot. I could give you from my one of personal example. I was doing a very strategic evaluation of a criminal justice gender-based project in Pakistan funded by British High Commission for some local organization. And when I was evaluating all data and all the things, I was having access to all the data, but I saw there one picture and with some caption in the LinkedIn that some of their victims, gender-based victim family came to their office and they were having the sweet packs as a gift after winning the case in criminal court of justice. So and they came with the sweet packs, and they were very poor families, and they were if the female in the family was having issue of gender-based violence and divorce issues and all. So they came and they gave the packs of sweets to the team members of that organization. So maybe when you are collecting the data through AI, the AI would not be taking that data, would not be handpicking that data. But being as a human analyst, when I was reviewing their data, web data, LinkedIn data, and all these things, that picture and that caption matter a lot to me. So it was a success, a significant story for me, which I highlighted in that. So this is the difference between that you cannot have all the time AI data in the evaluations. How about you, Mr. Gandhi? If you
I
are
want to
having
go
any.
back to the question from YouTube because it's often not even known what is raising about the meta, I mean the fake data, or as it's known as synthetic data. And it's getting more and more common. Like we all know GPT, but we don't know GAN, for example, which is the generative adversarial networks, which is what close to real. And these synthetic data are GANs and also generated by GPT. ChatGPT can generate, or any other GPT can generate fake data. But that's where there are tools that many people use. More and more evaluators are starting to use, I would say, tools like Pachyderm or DVC, which talks about what is this called, the provenance. Where did the data come from? How was it generated? And also, if you noticed, if you ask your friend or your boyfriend to say something about you, they will say, but it'll be flawed. But if you ask ChatGPT to say, it'll be perfect. They will exaggerate the adjectives. And same way, when you run the synthetic data in an algorithm, it'll have usually perfect bell curves or perfect algorithms. And so you can guess something is not right because mostly AI tries to, although it is mimicking close to perfect, you can still find ways in which to identify synthetic data. And it is a real problem. Whoever raised it, I think, thank you for raising that. We didn't touch that on our chapter on the book volume 1, but in volume 2, we want to address this, where we are actually presenting some frameworks for adapting AI. And one of the frameworks is to identify synthetic data, like missing, how do you miss the timestamp, data lineage, statistical anomalies like this perfect bell curve, low variance, and things like that. There are multiple ways to identify the inconsistencies in the truth of these so-called perfect data or synthetic data. So thanks for asking that question. I see another question, which is practical terms. How can I use AI to write evaluation report and conduct survey? If you start using that, then you'll have to leave your job. I think, as I said, evaluation report is still should be written by an evaluator. You can use AI to maybe, frame the basics. There's a lady, I can't remember her name. She said a nice quote about, I want AI to do my laundry so I can think creatively. I don't want it to do creative writing so I can do more time to do laundry. So AI should really be making things simple for you, but not taking over your role. So I think while you can use AI to write an evaluation report, I would rather you still write the report and maybe do a grammar check on that or bring structure to it as a template. So if you hand over your job to AI, I mean, it's gonna be not too long before there will be no need for you. That is how systems work and changes work. I don't think AI is going to replace people, but people who are good at utilizing AI will be replacing you. That is what I would say, because more and more it is being used. And I've always advocated for technology because I started my career in technology, but I've always advocated for technology being led by development professionals or managed by development professionals, and that is what I think. And the second question, should we learn any? You don't need to be a master in data science, but data science is good. I am a big fan of data myself. I'm a data guy. I think if you Python and R are very easy to learn. So if you have that background and you have solid grounding in evaluation methods, then you are in a formidable skill set because everything is data. We live in a digital world. We live in an AI sponsored digital world. So that is something I would recommend you to learn, even if you're not a data scientist, but get the basics of R and Python.
All right, I think Mr. Dedit Agung have another questions at the chat box, sir. What approach can be used to ensure the accuracy of data in society so that it creates a humanistic relationship within it? What do you see in this question, sir?
I think that would apply to any tool. No, you need to have a people-centric approach to data. I mean, like, what is it data being collected for? You don't do research for the sake of research, or you don't do evaluation for the sake of evaluation. There's always an outcome. There's always a end result. And so if your goal is to have a humanistic relationship, you need to make sure you have the right data governance centered principles, and it has to be participatory approaches, ethical review, and so on. We've been talking about it, and also I think Mr. Hasan Zahid also gave a very good review of the book itself and how we are trying to show what are some of the factors that you can use. Accuracy of data is really depends on, scrutiny and how it is structured. I mean, how it's collected. I remember a few years ago in Zambia, we were collecting data and we used something called cognitive interviews because it was such a large scale household level data. Some people may know it's called a panel data. And so we had to call the same farmer multiple times, not to get an answer, but to understand whether they understood the question. So it's like how many cows you have. We are not asking about how many cows they have, but did they really understand the question? Because sometimes the data accuracy depends on the interviewer, and two, how the interviewee viewed the question or understood the question. And sometimes I think, especially in the case of using AI or large scale data sets, it's essential to have it centered around the outcomes, centered around people-centered approaches and participatory MEL and so on.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Valentine. Perhaps Mr. Hasan would like to answer regarding the questions from Mr. Dedit Agung about the humanistic relationship. I think it's interesting perspective
Yeah,
to see.
yeah, I believe Mr. Valentine Gandhi spoke a lot, very valuable insights and information he has provided. And definitely, again, it depends on the objectives. Again, it depends on the type of data we want to have. It depends on the end result, outcome, as Mr. Gandhi said. So you cannot be specific. And again, there are many other reasons always involved. The reason uh, uh, the data collection constraints, the human resource constraints, the financial constraints, and many things. Maybe you are having some evaluation with the funding of $10,000 with the same scope, and maybe you are having an evaluation of funding of $1,000 with the same scope. Because the INGOs are involved, the development organizations are involved. So there are many things. So yes, the most important thing that what do you want to achieve, what do you want to collect from the ground, what are the type of results, what is to be the outcome, and how you have to reflect the outcome. So this is always important. And last but not the least, the most important is how you are passing your questions to the respondents, the interviewee, as Mr. Gandhi told, how they are understanding. You have to collect the data, but you have to collect the responses, the actual data, what they are giving you the feedback. So how you are briefing the respondents, how you are getting the information from them. This is the same example as Mr. Gandhi told. I had the experience of a UN Women project from Nigeria, and it was having issue that we applied the questionnaire and we didn't get the correct data. So we have to go back to those participants and we recollected that data for 2-3 times by retraining the team, data collection team, and involving the research people in the ground and all these things. So it always happens. It always happens that you have to be clear on your data questions, the data objectives, and what are you going to produce, and for whom you are going to produce, and what could be the benefits, and all these things.
Right, that's a very good perspective to answer Mr. Dalit Agu's questions. And we have questions from Natasha. She is actually our researcher and operations officers at MONEV Studio. So I would just repeat the questions. Thank you for the insightful presentations, Mr. Hasan and Mr. Val. I was just curious about how we integrate ethical aspects when using emerging technologies such as AI and machine learning for M&E, especially in data collections. For instance, I always use informed consent before collecting respondent data, and I always seek ethical approval before collecting health data. How can I incorporate these aspects when, let's say, I'm collecting data using data mining techniques?
Yes, I believe you are asking the question, and you are giving the answer yourself. That if we are using ChatGPT, just an example, and you cannot have the informed consent, you cannot have the ethical approval of collecting that data. So if you cannot have, so there's no question that you can have the ethical, meeting all the ethical considerations. I would also request Mr. Gandhi, because he has a more technical strengths in these area, to please further validate and discuss on this thing.
Sure. I mean, the lecture, the ethical ways to do data collection is another 1 hour lecture in itself. But I'm simply going to say that there are multiple tools that are available to ensure transparency and oversight, especially when it comes to working with vulnerable groups and when you use large-scale data. As long as it's centered on the principle of fairness, accountability, transparency, inclusiveness, and consent, I think you are headed on the right track. There are OECD now coming up with AI principle. UNESCO has AI ethics recommendation. USAID until recently they had the digital strategy on ethical consideration, and then there is EU and FCDO. They promote the data protection impact assessment before you start AI. So there are multiple frameworks that are being developed and then evolving. But I would say when you start doing or using AI, you should be really focused on what is it collecting, how does it process and interpret data, and try not to use for large scale database what they call black boxes or opaque artificial intelligence models. And then more and more they use what is known as XAI or explainable AI, where AI is able to show where the data is collected, what it is, and then they use this thing called HITL, which is human in the loop. Always there is a human oversight. But ultimately, it comes down to participatory ethics, how do you use it, and so on. There are some toolboxes like Kobo and others, they come with inbuilt AI ethical data protection questions, but again, they're being evolved. But ultimately, it's really you need to continuous to use and test. I think the 5 key ethical questions on why, who, what, how, and where, how does it affect the human beings, then you can run any models. Again, machine learning is not new. Maybe the way it is collected has increased, but statistics and machine learning and big data have been around for a while. And then so it's just a question of it's getting common, more and more common, that everybody knows how to use ChatGPT, which 5 years ago only data scientists may have been using. So it also opens an opportunity to have these questions on ethics and so on and so forth. But it really a question is as Mr. Hasan rightly said, who are you asking this question to? If you are running some models yourself, then you're just not asking any human or any testing any human models. But if you're using, let's say, a live data for data mining on a large scale, then I'm sure the data was collected with some ethical principles, right, before. Even if you say, let's say, I'm going to run a sentiment analysis of people who are commenting in Facebook about an ongoing issue in Indonesia or in Burma, those people already gave their consent in for public data to be available in Facebook. So Facebook or Meta will argue that this data can be used for data mining. But if you're specifically collecting a data for, let's say, UNDP's U reports, and I want to see how many children below under the age of 5 are stunted in Western Kenya, for that you need to again see the whatever data consent was used and so on. So it's there are multiple principles that you need to that you can adapt to your specific situation.
All right, thank you very much. I think that also applies for us who probably work in other sectors or other fields of interest in their research, which I think it's also the base for us to start on how collecting data is with ethics and with the laws and regulations. And I do have one more questions from our participants. I think this could be the last questions. However, don't worry, you still have opportunity to type your questions or raise your hand. So the question is, what are necessary skills to harness the potentials of AI tools responsibly and ethically to ensure fair, accurate, and meaningful evaluations for the young evaluators? What do you think about it, Mr. Hasan?
My apologies. Could you please repeat it?
Yeah. So the question is, what are necessary skills to harness the potentials of AI tools responsibly and ethically to ensure fair, accurate, and meaningful evaluations for the young evaluator?
Yeah, actually, these things, books are always good. You learn from books and you deliver. But these things come from practices. And my experiences and my things are that if you want to have more ethical standards while using the AI and you want to develop those skills, even the young people, they have to be practical evaluators. They have to be practical, doing some participatory activities, and they have been involved in the fields and data collection, all these things. And gradually, the human skills, the data quality skills, data collection skills, the data uh, ethical, keeping the privacies, taking the consents, understanding their body language, and all these things. These skills, then these things multiplies the more you do. And when you are doing these things in the field, and when you are coming back to your laptop and you're starting doing using AI tools, and you want to have some data collection and want to collect some data, like giving example of Indonesia, you want to have some sentiment analysis, as Mr. Gandhi told about something in Indonesia on the Facebook, and you're getting the data from that. So automatically, when you want to have some segmentation of that data, when you need to have segmentation of data by gender or by age wise or by married, unmarried, there needs to be, you have to be sure about the ethical approvals of all these things. The more you are, and this comes again with your human touch, this comes again with your practical learning in the fields. So I believe the more you are accurate in your physical presence in the fields and data collection and involvement and reporting analysis and all these, the more you are becoming more being more ethical, careful in the using the AI tools or applications in your laptop.
Okay, since I work with a lot of young evaluators and I see a lot of potential, I'm going to give you a philosophical answer and a practical answer. Philosophical answer is you have to change your mindset. One, you always think of, you may have heard the term think outside the box. In my experience, there is no box. The only box you have is when you're buried, and that is the only box. In life, there is no box. So stop thinking linearly. I think especially those of us who come from colonial countries, we are taught to think only in one way. We have to serve our colonial masters. So you can only do one thing. But in real life, you can do multiple things. You can be an evaluator and still be an AI expert. You can be a cybersecurity expert. So starting on AI or any technological tools, which first of all, removing the thought that, oh, I am a traditional method evaluator. I can't do this. Remove that. That is the philosophical answer. There is no box. All boxes exist only in your mind. Second is there are multiple tools that I'm going to post here. Have a look and Google and learn by yourself. And if you have any problem, you can reach out to me or to Umi or anybody else in your network. There are tons of tools. First, start thinking differently. That no, I'm gonna. This is really cool, geeky stuff. I mean, especially if you're a young evaluator and if you like TikTok and Instagram, throw that on the corner there and focus on these things. This is real. Instagram, TikTok is not real. I mean, maybe behind TikTok and how do you use TikTok data to measure the human behavior, that is cool. Not just to putting a lipstick in TikTok. Unfortunately, 90% of what I see in young people are wasting their time dancing weirdly between things while they could be using and harnessing the skills so well. You are the future. Young evaluators and researchers, you are the future. We are all already, my hair is falling apart. So you guys have the control of the future, whether it's an international development or an evaluation. So start looking at things that really challenge you, that you don't go to sleep by doing mundane things. Change the way you think, and that will lead you to be an excellent evaluator and a solid professional, no matter what happens around you. So I just think that's a great starting point philosophically as well as practically. These are some of the really basic tools that you can start from. It doesn't require you to be a mathematical genius, just a curious mind.
Thanks, Mr. Gandhi. Honestly, you have also helped me in giving a more holistic and broader approach. Thank you very much. I'm also from a colonial country. This is my bad luck.
Me too, me too. We're
But
all
thank
part
you
of the
very
same
much.
club.
There is always a room for learning, even at this older age. I can learn from you.
No offense, Hasan bhai. Only reality. Reality.
No, no, I must say I have learned from you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your super insightful information for us, and especially for young and emerging evaluators. Hopefully, in the future, one of us who present here, would become one. And I think I've got one of my favorite quote, I should say, have a curious mind. It will keep you alive. And I believe that as well. And in this special editions about AI technology and how it is going to work in monitoring and evaluations, I think that we can live side by side with technology, AI, and monitoring and evaluations, and with us. And what we can learn from our discussion today is that there is no right or wrong, but they're about using technologies or AI in general. And we just need to know how to use them with ethical considerations, and knowing the fact that we cannot just entirely replace anything with technology. There still need some human touch or humanitarian aspect on this one. And I hope that in the future we can have more discussions about this specific topic, and hopefully we can see you everyone again in other MONEV Book Club sessions. So I'm afraid that that will be the last sessions of our discussions. So next, I would like to invite for a photo session. So everyone, please open your camera just for a few seconds and put on your best smile for this one, because we have our amazing speakers, Mr. Valentine and Mr. Hasan, who have joined us this afternoon. I think I can give the floor to Mr. Marcus. He will be taking the picture to us.
Okay, now we will start taking pictures together. Please turn on your camera. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Marcus, can we take another 2 or 3 pictures? We need to wait for some participants to open the camera. All right,
Okay.
Mr.
Right.
Marcus, the floor is yours.
3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. One again. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Take it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
everyone. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you so much. I think that's the end of our session today. I would like to say thank you for Mr. Valentine and Mr. Hasan for joining us today in these discussions. I would like to thank our research and operation officers here in the office, Khairunisa, Eka, Natasha, and also Marcos, and other participants. we hope that we can see you in another opportunity, whether it's offline or online, and another MONEV Book Club opportunity or sessions. And my name is Inaya, and I'll be signing out from today's session. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you,
Thank
Hasan
you
and
for
Valentine.
everyone.
Hasan and Valentine, everyone.